Facebook.
Ooh, we're on the alls.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll get started, ladies and gentlemen. We are here. We are at the finale for the season. That's highly questionable. I think personally, I think they trolled us, but that's just my 2 cents. Anyway, welcome.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, to the season finale of The Mandalorian season 3. I am Spencer, repping our good boy Level Up Leroy with my shirt tonight. We're very excited about this tonight. Manning the con, you see what I did there, is Dave Vaca or Dave LaForge or
I know that.
Yes. Oh no, he doesn't have a visor anymore.
I know, not anymore. I cannot not see Jordy.
I'm sorry, we're hawking the truck.
It's always a visor.
If not one's even watching.
By the way, I have to say, Picard season 3 finale. Oh my freaking gosh!
I stopped watching after season 1.
No. You can skip 2 and go right to 3. Trust me.
Okay, I'll do that once the con is over.
We have our third amigo, Senor Jefe. How are you, sir?
Good. Hanging out, ready for a crazy episode.
Oh yes, we're ready for a crazy episode, but we have 2 very special guests tonight. Straight from Rebels Revisited, we have Ashley Sendula and Thrawn Van Olen. How are you?
Hey.
Hi, guys.
Thanks for having us.
This is the spot to be. Thursday night watch along, the finale. We are by far the most famous guests you've had on all season, clearly. Yeah.
I don't know. Were they wearing any Paz Vizsla shirts at Celebration? I don't think so.
The meet and greet's going to be big at Rhode Island when Ashley and I get a table and go head to head with Emily.
Yeah.
I mean, no surprise. No. Speaking of which, I don't know if Ashley, if you saw this, but if you watch the Fan Expo YouTube page,
you
follow Dee with her and you see her.
It's with my friends. Yeah.
In a cosplay, which I hope she does in Boston.
I shared it to my Instagram story. So if you're on Instagram, check out Hate Street Girl, and you can see Emily in full disguise as the armorer, and nobody knew it was her.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Awesome. That was cool.
It was really neat.
I'm very excited, and I want to give props to Dave on this. He helped me out and got me put me together a 11x14 print of the Night of 1,000 Tears, which I'm going to have her do that monologue.
Oh my God, you're gonna make her write a lot.
Oh yes, I am.
Who does that?
That's
I'm gonna charge you per word.
Yeah, seriously, per letter.
I'm very excited about that.
$600 later.
I spent an extra $20 to have Matt Wood do the Big Fortuna Huttese.
But he had that on his phone.
He had it on his phone, but I had to pay him to write it because the thing was, he's like, I'm doing a quote that large, I'm getting the little one. I'm like, I'll give you an extra $20. That's not even but
give Emily a coffee because she's gonna need it.
I imagine you just throwing a $20 bill at Matt Wood. Very like Jabba to Bib Fortuna, like basically slapping him with the slimy hand. Like I can see it.
Here's your blood money.
Exactly.
But it's very fitting that we're having this episode tonight, especially because we're going to finally figure out who the Mandalore is, even though that there's a nifty shirt that you can get now on our TeePublic. Mark, why don't you tell us a little bit about your shirt?
So he didn't become the Mandalore, but or show up at all, or prove us that he's alive. But
it was a character that looked kind of like that one on your shirt.
No, I saw the one blonde. But like, yes, they're by the way,
there's a third Gleason brother.
Maybe. I mean, at this point, there's probably an extra Jonas brother floating around out there. There's so many.
Between the Gleasons and the Skarsgårds, put one of them in there.
The many family members.
Pull it off.
Yeah. Right. Look, by the way, I think everyone should pick their favorite background Mando. Like the rando Mando of the day should be a thing.
I like my friend Rando Mando.
My friend Dupree is already my favorite Mando. He's in the 501st. He usually cosplays as Darth Vader. He was one of the Mandalorians in the background, and he's the one with the big afro in the back.
Oh shit!
So just look for someone in armor with a big afro. And that's my friend Dupree. So shout out to you, Dupree
So-
Jones.
Hello, Dupree.
Was
So
that you,
despite
me,
1,000
Dupree?
rando mandos, there was no Corky Crees.
Yeah.
Which, no surprise, honestly. Like the people that we were saying might pop up, like Sabine Wren, Ursa Wren, Corky
Yeah.
Crees. But you can get your Corky Crees shirt on TeePublic. And Rule Mandalore. It's by the way, I don't know how many units have sold. I assume it's at least 2 because I bought 2.
Billions, I'm
like-
sure.
Yeah. But
And
It could
Yeah.
still happen.
Yes.
Still
So
happen.
please make sure you get one of those, as well as the Rebels Revisited t-shirt, which we did see quite a bit in London.
Yeah, that's so cool.
yeah,
Which is
that's
very,
awesome.
very awesome. Also, she put it up on her Instagram, and I have to say, Emily, I'm sorry for doubting the armor.
Yeah.
Oh,
I really thought it was recast.
I did say something last week. I'm like, you got horns.
Mhm.
Gideon's got horns.
mhm.
Maul has horns. The Mandalorians had horns.
Yeah, I was horribly wrong on that too.
Yes.
I get
So,
it.
Yeah, I know she was a bad
there's
guy.
always the long game. We don't know. I ain't
Well,
seen
we'll see.
spoilers.
We'll see how it ends, with the episode tonight. But a whole bunch of things we're talking about. Dave, coming out celebration with a whole slew of stuff coming through on the VCN. What are we looking at?
Oh my gracious. So we're back with the Unifying Force this Sunday. We skipped over one during celebration, but we have like 6 episodes of Mando left to cover and things coming out of celebration that we'll be talking about. Of course, on Mondays is our regularly scheduled Rebels Revisited, as always.
And what are you guys looking at talking about this coming Monday?
It's going to be this. So we're going to do a Mandalorian season 3 full kind of recap, but in the lens of all the Rebels information that you got throughout the season. So not just like tonight we're covering the finale, but we're going to go back through all 8 episodes and get all the Rebels connections from the Purgles to all things Bo-Katan.
Right.
Absolutely fantastic.
And then, of course, on Tuesdays, happy hour. People should be joining us on happy hour. It is so much fun.
Yes.
We had
Can confirm.
an Alderaan Idol winner in attendance last week, or not? Well, he was one of
Yes,
3. So
Peter from
third place,
Australia,
but-
our third place winner, showed up this past week, which was great. So you never know who might show up, some great things coming around. We did announce at Bunta Eve and have been leaking that our second virtual Cantina family vacation is going to be happening July 29th through August 2nd, 2024. A lot of Easter eggs of what we're planning in the graphic, thanks to Senor Jefe over there. More information coming within the coming months, but this is going to be a trip of a lifetime. This is going to be for the fans, by the fans, and the ultimate Star Wars California experience with everything that we're planning. So you're not going to want to miss it. We are going to probably end up limiting the numbers of people who are able to make it. But, if you're able to make it and you want to make it, you're going to want to be part of it, just like you're a part of Bunta. Saw some great Bunta pictures today. And I have to say, there was one picture in particular that our moderator April put up. And it was Mark with Matt Freds and the governor laughing, drinking a beer at Bunta. And that had to be probably one of my favorite pictures of Bunta.
Yeah, I was going through my photo roll and I was like, who took this picture? I saw it on April's Facebook today or yesterday and downloaded it. I'm now like literally scrolling through other members' photo albums and stealing pictures to add to my own. But those were the best type of moments, like just hanging out at the bar, Bunta Eve, Cantina, after hours, just getting to know people, reconnecting with people, meeting new friends. It was wonderful. I wish we could do this like monthly. Though, we'd be broke.
And this was your first celebration, obviously, as really because you joined us a year ago in Anaheim, but really a year later as a member of the VCN family, and you got to experience with us celebration.
Yeah, it was last year, I had met you guys beforehand. Obviously, I'd been on the show as a guest on the Thursday night watch along, and we were planning behind the scenes Rebels Revisited. So we actually revealed at Celebration Rebels Revisited, and we were handing out our cards. Ashley and I were handing these out, which was awesome. And we're like, we're gonna have a new show, tune in. And we were very hyped about that, but we weren't like in it yet. And now we're coming up on a year, and it's like we're producing shows, we're making moves, we have other things to announce at a later date soon.
Yeah.
It's been such a blast. It's been a roller
So
coaster
much fun.
year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Ashley, what do you think? Like, this has been it's a whirlwind, right?
Totally. And it was so much fun to get to hang out with everybody at Celebration Anaheim and Bunta Anaheim and just kind of see what I was becoming a part of and get to see everybody in person. And yeah, and how much it's grown from there. Like while we were doing, I said this on Monday Night Show, but while we were doing the CNN, it came up on a year since we announced Rebels Revisited. And I cannot believe that that time has flown already. It's been so much fun to be a part of it. And the content, like they're making the content for us. They're like, please talk about our stuff. Like, here's more Rebels. Yeah.
We forced it somehow.
We
And we
willed
feel
it into
so
the
like
force.
included
Excuse me.
and like everyone on the channel has been so generous
Oh,
with
yeah.
their time. And like Jeff produces for us every week. Dave and Spencer help us with show content. We get to come on here and cross promote and meet with other people and
Yeah.
doing the news desk and all the other stuff and the events. It's been wild. It's been a really, really fun time. And also, this is the shout out to anyone in the comments. If you have an idea for a show, be very careful about putting it in the comments because Spencer will make you do it. So it is both.
But
an
you know
open
what?
invitation
I will
and a
never
warning.
complain.
Yeah.
Well, and I think some more of those are coming to be in the future. So
Yeah.
some more of those shows are branching out and happening and filling out the channel.
I warn you. So the one question I want to ask, and I'm glad we have you on, Mark, is that you got to experience two different but unique buntas. Like, how do one compare to the other?
Oh boy, they were both great in like slightly different ways. One, you know how to put on an event. So by the way, if you need to hire Spencer as like a consultant or something to plan your event, he knows what's up.
I do
and I'm not
remember
just saying that.
too.
Yeah, it's like
do remember.
yeah. He also knows how to command a room. When you came out as Vader to sing, it was Muse. It was
Yeah, it was Uprising.
Yeah, Uprising. I wanted to say Resistance. I was like, it's that Muse song. I was like, oh Jesus, this is awesome. So he's got a flair for the dramatic. As a reminder, he is a heterosexual music theater major. So he can command a room, and it's a good time. But honestly, like to be able to plan an event on a different continent, at a bar, like at the Canary Wharf, separate from what's going on normally at Celebration, right? Like that's a lot of logistics and planning, and it was a blast. Everyone had a great time. There were some really cool autograph signers, which I missed a lot of because I was busy building the booth, but I caught the tail end of that. And then the talent this year at Alderaan Idol was wild. Like I was like on my feet, like clapping for everyone. That kid who was juggling the knife, I don't know how planned that was or whatever, but there was so much random awesome stuff throughout that I like was
Tony's
fixated.
son, Dave.
Yeah. It was amazing. The whole show was great. And the top 3 finalists were incredible too. They were like, I feel like any one of them could have won. They were all terrific.
Well, no, we're so happy to hear that. And as we know, Celebration is going, they're turning Japanese. I really think so. So who knows what's going to happen there? Who knows if there'll be a Ubuntu 5 there? It's inconclusive at this point, but we'll keep in contact here on the VCN, and we will keep you involved with that.
I
We
may
only
have
have
already started
23
the graphics.
months.
Just saying.
Yeah, I know you do. So Price should say they should not mention anything about gaming. Well, I think that you and Catherine Cook should have a little talk about live streaming Jedi Survivor, maybe.
Yeah, Gary O'Toole was really interested in
Yeah.
Yeah, in Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor as well. And I actually think there should be a gaming show. It's not something that should be on your all year, I think, because there aren't enough games necessarily. But even if you went back and played Coder, I mean, everyone I know still talks about Knights of the Old Republic. Like that could be really fun. I'm a terrible gamer, but like I think it's fun. So I would tune in for something like that, and maybe the experts could show me how to play Fallen Order because I am bad at it.
I just watched the cut screens.
I find it hilarious that people will watch video games because it reminds me of the days like when I was in college when PS1 was out and we would stay up all night playing Madden or NBA or whatever. And we were watching other people play, and now people are actually getting paid to do that kind of crap.
Oh yeah,
like, dude, that's what we did.
I vote we bust out an Atari 2600 and get the
I have an emulator. It was 7,500 games.
Well,
I have
over
the
on our
actual one.
over on our YouTube right now.
Pretty
Me too.
I want to say hi to Tom, who I saw over the weekend. Our buddy Bruce Brown. Welcome, Bruce. Great to see you over there. Lila's over there. Jason Groski is in our Facebook right now. But we've got so much good content going on. So much great information came out of Star Wars Celebration. And we have also 2 more live action shows coming this year. That's insane. It's like this is the year of Star Wars. I'm telling you, and with the fact that we could do these watch-alongs, and we're already starting to build collateral for future shows and future events. The next big one we have is Ahsoka, which I know behind the scenes we're already starting to plan whatever we're going to do for Ahsoka.
That's a lot of the typing you might be hearing from me. I'm like literally in the Google Doc.
Yeah, we got to come up with a name for that.
Ahsoka, August, and then
people
some.
in the chat.
And then some. Ahsoka, August, and then some.
Spencer said that. I think it was Spencer. Was it you?
Yeah.
Earlier.
Put a sent to Ahsoka in the doc, but I don't know if that's.
I think the graphic needs to be Mark staying in front of the mural.
The mural. Especially once they took down the tape.
That's what I was saying when you're like, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you.
I would have been crying, so you are much braver than I am.
Yeah. Well, once I saw the security dude, I walked away quickly. But honestly, like that mural holds up. I really hope they bring it in person to San Diego or some other place in America where they know there's going to be another big
Put
event.
it in the lobby at Lucasfilm, please.
It won't fit. It won't. Girl, it's gigantic.
It would take up part of the court, most of the courtyard there.
Yeah, you'd have to do it at an event where you've got ginormously high ceilings and a lot of space. I mean, you saw the scale of it.
Kathleen Kennedy put that very close to your booth for a reason, right?
It was close to your booth. Oh my God, that's fine.
You saw it.
Yeah, I could lean out and like take a good look. It was actually right next to Funko, which had by the way, the Funko line did not stop. I wanted at one point to try to get that picture with the Funko figures, and you had to like queue for the queue. There was like you can make a reservation to get in the line.
Same thing for the book signings. Like for example, I was online to get Kristen Baver on one of her books, and then they were going to sell at that table the timeline book that just came out, and they had all the authors there, and I had it in my hand, and they're like, and I had an autograph in like 15 minutes, and they're like, okay, you get your book signed, and then get on the big line to go into the Forbidden Planet store to buy it. I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'm getting an autograph, so I didn't even buy the book. But it's like you queue to queue. That was pretty much what a lot of the Celebration stores were like.
It was line con all over again. I think everyone felt that way. Look, I was an exhibitor, so I was sort of chained to my booth, but I think anyone who was physically there will tell you they waited to wait. Like that felt like the biggest complaint of most people had, other than not being able to even get into said panels, right?
I was talking to the guys the other night about the line to get into your booth. It was ridiculous. And I was like, I loved it because every time anybody from our group went by and they saw Mark was like, the security guy.
Yeah, we had a little velvet rope situation.
You fancy.
Yeah, and by the way, with that in mind, like if anyone is watching this from our 56,000+ fans, you're all friends, family fans. you can, if you see me and tell me you're part of the group, like I was able to bring in a couple people and do that, like to jump the line. We did that for
That's
media
cool.
and for people I actually know and for the Star Wars fan sites to get a quick look around. And because we did have to queue our booth. The first day it was
It was
just a melee.
amazing. Like I waved at you at one time. You're like, come in. I'm like, no, you're crowd. I'll come in.
Yeah.
I'll come later. But it's like,
And then the line
Spencer
didn't-
doesn't
yeah.
stick around for crowds.
Yeah.
He's in the front of the line or nothing.
Well, you had like, it looked like just from the pictures, like a major upgrade booth from Anaheim.
It looked
with
so
like
cool.
all the
Yeah.
like
he had a pavilion.
and
Like he literally had a
props and-
pavilion that had a separated wall to Ruby's. Like it was
Yeah.
like they had their own like cove, which was pretty awesome as opposed to, you know,
That Mando setup with all the new Mandalorian helmets, the new jetpack, everything.
Yeah, that
It
was
looked
cool.
amazing. Total upgrade.
It was
So,
definitely a
props.
big change versus last year. I was telling someone, not to get too deep into the de nuo novo since this isn't like a business call, but like we were only 6 months out from being live at Celebration 2022. So our product assortment was still relatively limited and most of our items were
Right.
pre-order and most of our back order hadn't been fulfilled. Now cut to 18 months later, the back order is almost done. So my questions were more about what's coming that's new. And that's where I got to talk about like my customizable Mandalorian helmets that'll eventually be coming out, X-Wing blanks that are coming, like all that cool stuff that like a Novos had nothing to do with because we're able to carve our own path now. And because we've
Cool.
actually delivered product, people were like, hey, we might buy from you now. And I was like, yes, that's what it took.
but will you take
Speaking
care
of
our
which-
tax order?
Yeah, I was like, if you
Redeem
spend
the
money with
product,
us, we'll
even though
deliver
the
product.
name was sullied.
Yeah.
Previous
Speaking
name was. It was good to abandon it, I think, and move
Yeah.
on to something new.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I have been chasing that Sabine Wren helmet, oh my God, pretty much since it was announced and all of last year. So I finally bit the bullet and got one. And thank you.
You need to tell your warehouse people to put some extra swag in that one when they get
It's
order
a
goes
2 for
out.
1. There's 2
Yeah,
helmets
you know,
stuffed
there's
in.
Yeah.
put,
So,
put a Kylo
Set
What
of
to
armor
wear,
and
what to
have
see
it
as
here.
a car.
and they won't notice.
yeah. Meanwhile, that helmet is still on pre-order because it just is, and it's sort of frustrating. But we're very close to start shipping, and then the season
Yay.
4 one is coming soon. And now we're going to have a live action version. Because I mean, would you guys say the biggest news at Celebration, other than the Daisy Ridley movie, is like all things related to Ahsoka?
Yep.
Like I felt like that was the discourse.
We called it in our preview for Celebration that the biggest announcement was Big Blue. That was going to be the announcement, but we called that for Anaheim as well, and we got Sabine. Okay, nothing against Natasha. We want to throw it, but the thing that I love the most was
We
the
knew he was
fact that
coming. That
They
was
announced that Tim Zahn is involved.
Yeah.
in everything.
Yeah, that was
Narn.
cool. That was very cool. And Dave's doing it right, like completely right. Like you want the man that created Thrawn to be a part of it and kind of help steer the ship with his story, especially if you're going to stick that close to Heir to the Empire. But
Which is
I've
so-
never
Drop
been so
the
happy to
name,
be
bro.
right. I've never been so happy to be right. Like I was like, please don't be Matt Smith. Please don't be Matt Smith. And then you texted me and I was like, ah! It was
I
so
thought
good.
it was Matt the whole time. I was like,
So if you watch the live stage interview, which had Ben Stevenson and Lars
Ray
together,
Stevenson.
Ray Stevenson and Lars together. I believe it was Anthony Carbonos said to Lars, "Have you ever had that much of a cheer for the back of your head?"
I would love to
pretty
answer that question.
Oh my!
That is perfect interviewing because that's exactly Anthony's style too.
Yeah.
Like Lars probably didn't even pick up on that, but that's meanwhile, one of the other highlights, if you guys want to find the clip of Anthony fighting Anthony Daniels, is
Yes.
I just watched that the other day.
I love
They have a
them.
love-hate relationship, just like Jimmy Kimmel and Matt Damon. Like,
Yes,
it's-
they are. It dates back
See,
for
it-
thousands of years. Yeah.
It gets to the point where you're like, wow, this is going far. And then all of a sudden they're just like chummy again. And then it progresses and then
Yes. So Lila just posted that she's excited for Acolyte. And speaking of Acolyte, holy crap! Fan Expo Dallas announced Carrie Ann Moss as a guest today.
nice.
Oh god,
Oh.
Very
I
excited.
love her.
To
Very
me, I'm like,
excited.
I want
Oh,
to start my Acolyte poster. I have to watch
Right.
that trailer. Like, It
How
was
many more
Trinity.
projects can we start?
Yeah.
Well, you know,
all of them.
It's like someone comes after her with a dagger and she
Think of,
freaking
like-
throws Trinity on them with the Force. And I was like, oh my God.
Wait,
Like-
that was in the trailer? I didn't get to see the
Yes.
trailer. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. We're starting soon, so not a problem.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, as well, don't forget we are watching chapter 24, which is the final episode of season 3. Please make sure you have that queued up on your D Plus machine. And with Mark here as well, and I mentioned this to Ashley. Ashley, you with the guys did a bang up job on CNN.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we had so much fun. It was
With a
just
week's notice, you jumped into the pilot seat and took care of the ghost. And
I have a great
Put a little
crew.
pushing.
it was actually less noticed than that. I think when she came on, it's like, okay, who's hosting?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of that.
I wasn't that slow, but anyways.
You guys were like, who's hosting? And your hands are already up here.
I
And
was-
I'm just like, wait,
You
what?
mentioned it, you get to do it, I think is actually what it came down to.
Yeah.
You're voluntold. It's
Yep.
I will say I never had an ounce of doubt. And I watched all the episodes and you guys were awesome. So,
Yeah, it was so
for anyone in
much
the
fun.
comments who
Thanks.
didn't watch the recaps, the Celebration Nightly News, maybe you were there, maybe you were busy doing other things. Go back and watch those. They're great summaries of what happened at Celebration, the biggest of news, plus some like photo reel stuff that like Spencer sent. Like I made
Found
the
a
photo
lot
reel
of
couple
different
times.
sources for things, but yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, a lot of things you pulled straight from the Facebook group, which was
were
awesome.
you guys
And there was-
color coordinated on purpose? I have to ask that because you guys were like primo, like coordinated every single night.
No, we're just big nerds.
I think the
That's what we
only
do.
time like Dave and I decided we would wear the new racer, I think on Saturday, because that was a photo day or whatever.
Yeah, whenever the
So
photo
that
day
I
was, you
think,
guys
as far
did
as
it.
any
as-
kind of like similar thought process, and I'm 99% sure we didn't even talk about doing that.
yeah.
It was, how we rolled.
It was symbolically for you guys being there in the family photo. So it was kind of like your way of being a part of it. So
But,
that was really cool.
In general, I think it just, if we were matching, it was purely coinkydinky.
Totally.
Also, before we go live as well for the show, I want to point out that all leftover Boonta merchandise from 2019 to 2023 is on sale right now at boontaeveswag.square.site, SITE, and we have very few of those nifty shirts that Dave is Vanna Whiting for us right now.
Oh, I like those.
That's not the link, is it? I thought it was Boonta Eve Cantina at Square.site.
I think it's
Square.
Boonta Swag.
We better
Okay.
get the right link in the we'll put it in the chat.
Because
Yeah.
I think you told me one and it was the other, and I'm not sure which one, but it was.
It's one or the other.
Okay, it's Boonta Eve Cantina. I'm wrong.
Aha!
At Square.site. I get things wrong quite often, so I at least admit it.
That's me with all my predictions. Girl, I haven't gotten a thing right.
Yeah.
Emily
They're fun
and
to hear,
Katie
though. They're
never
great.
fought. I was like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
That was the one
They were
thing I was banking on
chummy.
all season.
Instead, she fought Moff Gideon. So
yeah, which that I liked.
that was
Jeff,
still
you
pretty
you
fun.
heard me every week for on Rebels Revisited for the past 8 weeks screaming about how Katie and Emily need to fight, and then what happened? They're best friends.
And we got that sort of ambiguous answer when we asked her about Emily herself about like
Yeah.
a fight between those two characters.
We did.
So it
yeah.
kind of made it seem like that was maybe something
Yeah.
that was actually happening.
I was like, oh, throwdown confirmed. Like I was so ready. Yeah.
Exactly. So
And you're like, damn, she toyed with my emotions.
I just love the fact that every time she fights, she doesn't have a gun. She doesn't have.
she was
it's like, no, we're
kicking
gonna
ass with
hit
the
people
hammer
with
and
a
the-
hammer.
Okay, I'm sorry.
surprised she didn't like grab somebody out of the air and like throw
Spoiler
them.
alert, she goes full on Paz Vizsla in this episode. Like she does such a tribute to him. It's fantastic. And we'll talk about it in a minute. But we're about to start right now. So you know something? I think because we have some special guests right now, if you will. Mark, why don't you do the countdown tonight?
Oh, okay.
You did the
Right.
countdown.
All right. We start at 5, right?
You can start wherever you
Start
want.
wherever you want to. So
Okay,
start at
guys.
47.
Pull up your
Count
Disney
up like
Plus
Leilani did.
machine. Pull up your Disney Plus machine. Season 3, Chapter 8, or Season 3, Episode 8, Chapter 24, The Return, season finale of Mandalorian. And we'll hit the play button. Do not skip the intro. And we'll hit in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
Mute your audio.
Oh yeah, mute your
Yeah,
audio.
and have your audio turned down so we don't get, kicked out.
Hopefully you will
And
find us. They already know I touched the wall. I'm sure I'm getting a very special message from
It
My
reminds
licensing
me of
major.
Notman when he went to go see the Titanic. He told us that he went to Titanic Museum and someone dared him to go touch that thing, and the security guard ran up on him and he almost like took him out.
Mhm.
So,
Goodness.
Don't touch the things.
okay, so yeah, I've decided that next time we see Kitty O'Brien at a con, I want to get her to sign a picture of her eating the biscuit, turning the knob to 11.
Turn it to
Dude.
11. Yeah.
And you're gonna
Yeah.
have that underneath it, aren't you? Turn it
I'm
to
gonna have
11.
it right, turning it to 11. Absolutely.
This
No,
is
her
one
best
of-
line is we were liberated or whatever it was,
Yeah.
right? Whatever she says in that moment, that was
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah,
See,
you're about to drop an F-bomb, weren't you?
people totally say there that
Always.
have been saying that this really nicely wraps up a lot of threads that were going on this season, but it didn't wrap up a thread with her. So it's
Yeah,
still
I
like
think-
hanging out there.
Well, she wouldn't know that Gideon died. So
Right.
there's gonna be repercussions next season, I think, for her.
She's going to be at the end of a hollow call going like, hello, are you there?
Hey, John Mount Stevens from the UK. Thank you for joining us tonight.
oh yes.
Welcome.
Yeah, we have a nice number of people in the Facebook. Is the Facebook behaving tonight? I know it's been a
It
little.
looks
And
okay.
it's a normal thing. Depends on your connection. Some people's are better than others, but
There's
YouTube seems to
56,000
be very
members.
consistent.
Holy
And
crap. Like we hit 50 day one of celebration. And by the end of the weekend, we were at 53, 54. Like,
Yeah.
so every time we wake up the next morning, and I'm like, Jake, you got to make another graphic. Like literally every day, I'm like, dude, you got to make it. And by the end of the day, dude, you got to make. He's like, I'm like, I know.
Wait, what are we at right
I'm-
now?
56.3.
yeah, it's still going up a lot. I think people are still trying to
Easy.
find out about it. And now, having the new con coming up, even though it's 2 years away. This is amazing. This part I was very I was not sure what was going to happen with Axe on his way up to
Yeah.
and
Which I
okay.
gotta tell you, Simon is freaking awesome. I met him in London, and he was the coolest person. Like he was down to earth, loved it, loved being part of it, loved being at Celebration. Just a cool ass guy just to chat.
Yeah. I've never met him,
Spoiler
but I've
alert.
heard great things.
I am not for this episode. Now I called him Axe. Should I call him Woves?
This is what's weird. There's inconsistency with the first name, last name
We don't
situation.
call the Kreese clan by Kreese. They,
Mhm.
I mean, their names are first name, last name, like a Western style.
So could we just call them all Din? Since
There we
that
go.
seems to be a thing now.
Oh, hey,
Spoiler alert.
Ahsoka.
She's watching.
But I
the
mean, that's
show.
what I'm
Yeah.
referring to.
Yeah.
Is
Hey,
doing,
Ahsoka.
he's been referred to as Din,
Okay.
and he should have been referred to as Jaren this whole time.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I want to give a huge shout out to Lateef Crowder because this was blatantly, obviously him.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
these moves are amazing.
That
yes.
is not
Seriously.
It's
Yeah.
screaming Lateef. Like,
Oh, big time.
Aside from the fact that we know it's not Brendan, it's clearly not Pedro.
Oh, that's for sure too.
So-
Oh yeah, I was thinking about your thought on Pedro this whole episode.
Yes. All right. So I'm assuming people watch the episode, right? We don't see
Oh.
his face. And I don't understand how they got around that, because if they didn't show his face, how is he not just a voice actor? This is the question. And I'm wondering if Disney had to clear this with there
Is
are
there like a
rules.
yeah?
know,
How much
you know.
percentage of the time does he have to be in the suit? Is there something like that applies?
Yeah.
I
It's
love
possible
this.
that they can look at the whole series, seasons 1, 2, and 3 together.
So,
But yeah, I was
shout-
surprised that we didn't see his face. Clearly, this
Shout out
man never
to-
showed up to be in the suit.
No doubt. Shout out to the
Yeah.
artist Brian Kissinger, because he gave an incredible piece of art today. It was basically Grogu and Krang and the brain running after him screaming, "No, no, no."
Yes.
I was like, oh my
I
God.
I
thought
love
that was really
Brian.
cool.
Brian's got great art, and it's
Can we
so
share that
funny.
in the chat? That's awesome.
Yeah, I can link it.
Yeah, but I'm betting in
Grogu-
addition to in that scene, as much damage as he takes, that may have been in addition to Lateef, that may have been
Tom O'Connell too.
oh help me, JJ.
It could have been JJ or Tom O'Connell as well.
Dash now?
Tom O'Connell, who did the stunt Vader, was Din Djarin for a couple episodes as well.
Oh.
And someone else, I don't know if it was Screen Crush or one of the people said that it's funny how in like season 1 and 2 that Din is saving Grogu from the guards and the Empire, and this one it's Grogu saving Din.
Yeah.
I mean, jarring.
Spraying him with the Bacta spray, and he's like, "I'm fine, I'm fine."
Yeah, that part was very cool. I love that. That was fun.
It's like poetry, it rhymes.
But it kind of
Yeah.
reminded me of like season 1 when they used the Bacta spray on Din Djarin, and yeah, Grogu was around saving them from the fire.
Yes, do we call him Din or do we call him Djarin? Like I'm confused.
But I'm asking.
Yeah, like Jeff said.
Here's the thing.
What are the rules? We need to know the
Like,
rules.
you can't
I
call
know that
Din Grogu and Din Djarin both Din. Obviously,
No.
we're going to call Grogu, but
Grogu Djarin.
Yeah, I know that our whole network is based on all of us trying to make sense of Star Wars, but there's no point of trying to make sense of Star Wars. It's that
Figured
line
it
from
out.
Clueless where it's like trying to find meaning in a Pauly Shore movie. There really are moments where it's like, this is dumb for no reason. Fine. And it's like, all right, he's Din Djarin, I'll call him Din, and he's Din Grogu, I'll call him Grogu.
yeah.
Like I have my moments where there's going to be YouTube videos
Right.
about this, and people are going to lose their minds in the worst
exactly.
way. Yeah.
R5 to the rescue.
I love
Finally.
this whole series of heads popping out from behind corners.
There's a BB-8 shot like that in either Last Jedi
Mhm.
or Rise of Skywalker, and I forget which one. It reminded me exactly that.
Yeah,
It's
very much
Force
cool.
Awakens.
Is it Force
Yeah.
Awakens?
Yes.
Oh.
So he also does one with him and Dio in Rise as well. That they both do the head cock.
That might be
Yeah.
the one that's fresher in my head.
Yeah.
Not that I've rewatched Rise of Skywalker recently. I would never.
I've only seen
no.
it once.
I think I told you I had to see it 3 times. We had a licensee screening that Wednesday. I had tickets on Thursday with friends, and then like I figured I'd see it twice, but the licensing one popped up unexpectedly. So I went Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and by Saturday I was like, I can't do this. Like it was just oof.
There were some really cool parts, and there were some questionable parts.
Yeah. The I Fly Now is becoming the new Palpatine Return because they keep using that in like recap videos like Screen Crush and
Yeah.
you
They
know,
always have.
yeah, it's getting more attention because of these flying Imperials in this show now. So
Yeah.
yes,
Um,
of course.
yeah, it's like they fly now. There's like they've been flying since the Clone
Yes.
Wars.
Since
So
since since Return of the Jedi, technically. So
yeah,
it's just a different
So
kind of
this was such
level.
a nod to R2 in A New Hope.
oh yeah,
That's not-
Oh yeah, big time.
Yep.
and even in Bespin, he does a lot of unlocking doors and stuff.
Yes. He's got a lot of R2-esque elements that are all wrapped up into a smaller kind of set of scenes.
Do we
Well-
know who's either puppeteering or computer controlling or otherwise a person for
Tate said that
R5D4?
there was a person. Oh, sorry. I'm thinking IG-12. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I meant for R5. Like, because I know
Oh.
that like Jimmy V did R2 for a little while, and then I think they fully
Christina Galley
replaced.
did R2 in Fett.
Okay.
Not
And
quite
it's-
sure, but didn't you guys say that Leilani wants to play Chopper?
Yes, she does.
That's
She does.
amazing.
Oh yeah.
I would love
She
that.
was
all about
very she was talking about wanting to be a droid of some sort, and that she thought Chopper would be a good option to be
Rando
Uh,
Mandos.
Okay.
Frantic little
Did anybody
murder
else
droid.
think
Okay,
that,
now
that
this just raises more and more questions about Mando armor. Is like
And the
they are in
seal?
upper atmosphere, if not space. Like Din gets fire shot in the face repeatedly,
It's
but
Beskar.
then choked underwater.
Well, if you remember the
Yeah.
Iron Man 1, I mean, he went to the upper atmosphere and he froze up, like he lost Jarvis.
Yeah. Again, it's
Yeah.
Star Wars. It doesn't make sense.
Okay,
It's
so
not meant
did
to.
anybody else think that Axe or Wolves, whatever the hell you want to call them, was going to do a Haldo maneuver?
So
Yeah,
no,
I did.
Kind of did,
No.
but he
I thought Sexy Simon was going to be the actual spy. Like I
yeah,
really
that was
thought
what I was
that
thinking when he was going
Yeah.
up.
I was like, he's too hot, and he escaped when he had the immediate opening and took it,
Mm.
right? And I was like, I don't trust him. And I was
Mm.
wrong about him too, which I was happy to be wrong about. But yeah, I really thought that he was going to be one of the bad guys, him or Emily. And it was,
Yeah.
I was teetering
Neither.
on which one it was going to be.
If Mercedes went heel,
That would literally come out of nowhere though, because they've given this woman no lines. I don't understand. She's so charismatic. She's one of the most
She's a lot of
compelling
background.
people you could ever watch on screen.
Yeah.
And they have her standing there. I was like, what are you doing with Mercedes Monet? Like, this woman has sold out arenas across the world with her name above the poster for wrestling matches. Like, she's brought in fans that otherwise didn't care about wrestling and like stole the show.
Yeah.
And here she is in The Mandalorian, like 7th from the left, like just sort of standing behind Katie, which is not enough. Like, it makes me crazy.
I mean, it could be worse. It could have been Lizzo.
Oh, I thought Lizzo was cute in her role. Like,
Yeah.
her role was to be that, right? Like, she
Mhm.
was fine. Jack Black was ridiculous, but it was fine.
It's Jack
Like,
Black.
good Jack
Mercedes
Black.
is truly wasted in this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was. I really liked her in season 1 of the Mandalorian. Season 2 of the Mandalorian. Like when she showed
Her
up. and-
introduction, she was very
Yeah.
cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then
she
she's
fought
more
Boba
hot.
Fett for a second, but even then they gave her like 3 speaking lines. I was like, she's actually good on the mic. There are plenty of other wrestlers that should never get near a microphone, and that's why they usually have like a hype guy or like a handler or valet of some type.
Right.
Mercedes does it all.
So when's it
Right.
doing Novo Super Commando helmets coming in?
Girl,
Yeah,
I saw this for the first time you did. That's the kind of thing too. There are times when it's like I like to get ahead of stuff and know it's coming. This is news to me, and I do
The
think
Torian
that's
Guard
good.
helmet's a really cool version too. They all have that fet,
I like that one.
look to them.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the Mandalorian guards. Like when I saw those and I saw the Sith troopers for Rise,
Mhm.
I was like, damn, like those are really slick. When I saw the Mandalorian
trooper.
version of Praetorian guards, I'm like,
Yeah, that's what I mean. Those ones.
Yeah. The
Well, they're
Dark
all good.
Troopers, these
This
Imperials.
is fun. This fight, I think, is less Latif and more Brendan. It's a lot more brute, like hit him with the shield and then like, oh,
Steal the gun.
Ooh, I love
foot
this.
Yeah.
explode, like stab
yeah,
him in the
that-
foot.
Right.
I love the silliness.
the firefight there reminds me a lot of John Wick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like a lot
Right.
of up close, like
Close.
protecting yourself with your jacket, like kind of stuff.
All right, this is my favorite scene
Yeah,
in
this
the
is
whole
classic.
episode with the Mauser droids. I can't.
Exactly.
It's so stupid, and I love it.
Well, the follow up is the
When
true
did they
payoff
have
here.
sirens? Like
no, it's
when?
new. It's new. They're gonna all the
So
501sters are gonna have to retrofit their stuff now.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
They've
what
done a
is-
lot of. I've seen some really funny variations of mouse droids that are,
I have
things.
My friend
driving
made
it,
one with
you
a
know.
seat on it, and you can just
Right,
drive
exactly.
around. Yeah.
Was it
So,
Screen Crush that basically said this seemed like a video game? Like after every shield, he picks up a new kind of weapon, and then he goes
Yeah.
to the boss at the end. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
Why
kinda.
not?
I love. I don't. The funniest part of this scene is why are they just like doinking into him for like no reason with their little
what
lights
happened
on?
the one that drove backwards and went right over
Yeah.
the cliff?
that
Because
was
there's
good.
no banisters in freaking Star Wars.
There's a
that,
lot
I
of nothing in Star Wars.
Yeah. That I think was a direct callback, not callback, but reference to the pre-ride video for Star Tours,
Yeah.
because there's a scene with the droids prepping the shuttle while you're waiting and you're listening to Allison Jane, what's her last name? Anyways,
yep.
Yeah, and so when at one point in that scene when the shuttle's coming up for you to get in, you see a mouse droid drive off the edge, and then like an R unit looks over. So it's basically like the same kind of thing. So I would say that was a direct reference to that. I don't understand why Jaren put on that backpack, that jetpack. Does he really use it at all?
He does, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Did he use
Okay,
it
this
at
is
all?
freaky.
Did he like?
This is creepy. This is horror movie type stuff right here, especially for like
Yeah.
Grogu.
Yeah, maybe he used it to like do the little like Katie move where he like accelerates his punch into somebody with the jetpack or something.
Okay, if he uses it, I'm pretty
So,
sure he barely
the
uses
clone version of Gideon kind of looks like, if you remember from that incredible 80s movie, The Last Starfighter, when you had the beta unit turning into Alex and the blanket comes off his face and he's like kind of deformed, like he's trying to get into his real form. That's what this Gideon looked like.
Well, he kind of was distorted by the container he was in the water, I think. But
Yeah. Okay, Dave, I'm
Great.
sorry. This is the Genesis cave
Yes, it is.
from Rapid Con. I'm sorry if you have to track. But this is
Can I
is the
cook
Genesis
or
cave.
can I? No.
Mhm.
Steve
Yeah,
Springfield
well,
says
this was just this
he
is
feels-
foreshadowing for another season where they're back on Mandalore. This is like, oh, look, this is how we like re-terraform the place.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there's definitely future potential here if they all stop fighting each other. You know, like this is what could happen if the fighting stops and they stop destroying their own surface. There's a shot at like the planet. You know, what is it? Life finds a way, right?
Yeah.
That's the Jurassic Park.
Yeah, and you got freaking
Yeah.
Warlock from Top Gun Maverick like standing there. And he doesn't look like he's wearing Captain Beckett's outfit from Mibian in Solo. Like the damage wound
Oh.
right there on the chest as well was exactly like the outfit that Woody Harrelson would wear.
Oh, interesting. I didn't realize that. At first, I didn't realize who he was either from Top Gun Maverick. Like once I saw the name, I was like, I know that name. And then of course, like I would stop the credits and then I look everyone up and I usually follow most people as well. Yeah, I knew he looked familiar. I also thought he could have been one of the spies too. My thought was like all of the survivors on the planet
Yeah.
led them straight to the forge and
Exactly.
right into that trap.
The other guy, his like right-hand man, they pointed it out on the Screen Crush video that he had a super battle droid head for his
Yes.
like soldier armor. I thought that was really cool repurposing.
It's very cool.
Hey, did anybody else worry the fact that besides the fact that it's badass that Emily has a jetpack, but the fact that her Wookiee
her fur was going to catch fire.
fire.
Again, there's no physics
Well, I
in
think
Star
they've
Wars.
seriously upgraded the jetpacks from when they were chasing the bird thing, and they all ran out of gas. Now they're like into space and crap.
Well, since
Catching up with ships.
since they had Christopher Lloyd, they need something with a little more kick, plutonium.
See, this is incredible. Her flying in the air live action with that dark saber. We saw
All
that
of them
in
with
Rebels
their
season
weapons.
4, you know? And like
So
I remember that fight in Rebels season 4 thinking this is amazing. And now seeing it in live action, it's like somehow even better, which is rare that the live action beats animation for like special effects kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But this really
She
works.
got jetpack, but she's still hitting with the hammer and the tongs. Like,
Oh my God, the hammer. Yeah.
Well,
Love that hammer.
her and
Yeah.
Bo were both using melee weapons up close as opposed to firing on these guys as they approach like everybody else is doing.
Bo totally went total William Wallace and Braveheart and just took out the dark saber and just started running.
That's it, except for in the sky.
We're gonna have to talk about the dark saber because look what I pulled up, guys. Remember when I joined for the first time? This is the piece of paper with the history of the dark saber, and it was all about like where it went, what it did. And now we might have a final note to add to that. I was like, Oh, I'm glad you guys have your sabers. I don't know where mine is.
So when that situation happened, all I could think about was
I think the one you sent us might be more durable than the actual one.
Yeah, it's possible.
but I was thinking about it's like the first when this situation happened.
How can we all have the dark saber?
Yes, that one of these things is not like the other.
This is crazy.
What's called Oh yeah, I was thinking of the HasLab Razor Crest is like after that was destroyed, and now like everybody spent all this money on many a dark
There,
saber.
see,
Oh, there
there's
he
the
uses
jetpack.
it.
Yeah.
I think that's the one time he uses it in this
He used
entire.
it twice.
Okay.
Yeah.
It
Oh my
seemed
gosh.
unnecessary to me though, and ultimately in terms of the.
Yeah.
So do his henchmen, Gideon's trooper guys, have any dark trooper elements? Or are they just troopers in a different style outfit? Because he talked about him being the one that's wearing the dark trooper tech, and it's like a mech kind of suit, and you can hear it when he's moving, and he's got like all that extra power, like when we get to the dark saber.
Yeah, there's something giving him super strength, and it's the armor. Like he didn't suddenly get really strong, but he's using
that's the dark trooper tech in his armor. So I'm wondering what his henchmen have, if anything, that's dark trooper related, or if they're just, super troopers or whatever.
I love it that Daddy Din's getting his ass kicked, and Grogu's like, "Come on!" And he's like, "Oh shit, they're coming after me."
And he gets that right there where he's like, "Whoa!" And you see IG-12 do his little like, looks like he's getting taken off balance or whatever. But I thought something like somebody had mentioned having a reveal of Grogu's like Beskar ingot thing that he's wearing.
Yeah,
would be an interesting.
His clock.
Yeah, his flavor flame.
Knee rockets.
Yeah.
Ooh, I was worried that because I totally thought of K2SO when that happened. But I love the fact that he's up in the scaffolding.
Yeah. Now they got a little bit better with the jumping, but not
it's
quite.
Still very much a puppety kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, he looks like Kermit the Frog when he runs.
Right. What they did a lot more foot type movement of Grogu if you pay attention to his lower half than you have seen in previous incarnations, especially in these, like this episode, maybe the last one. Skewer.
Boom.
She just kicks him off the end of the darksaber, like, okay, next.
Yeah. I think she should have continued after him instead of letting him get up. Blast on him.
Yeah, I'm thinking like hit him while he's down.
Kick him off the side.
Chop his head off with your dark saber. Like, get with it.
Something that should go through the armor he's wearing.
Yeah.
About this, the last time that Gideon fought anybody was when he fought Din, and this part, like, this freaked me out. It was Din with the bastard, the Beskar spear, and then Gideon had the darksaber.
I love this. Grogu gets back into his old toss the trooper self there.
There's this whole theme this season about like stronger together, and you could see that like Bo, Din, and Grogu, they're all working. They will all team up in a second, but like they're all working together, and they all bring something very different to the table, right? Like Bo is part of the royal bloodline, and she's got a very particular style of fighting. And then Din is like pure bounty hunter, and then Grogu's like using the Force where he can. But they're all engaged in helping each other as opposed to fighting one another, which is like, it's a very heavy-handed message, but I think they reinforce it throughout the series like pretty effectively.
It also that you see them like that, like you're saying, that they come together because they're fighting separately for a moment, and then they come together and kind of do the gang up thing, or whatever you want to call it, the combined effort. And one thing I liked about this episode is how they broke up this ending part into multiple pieces. Like here's the piece with Axe, the scene with Din, the scene with the regular Mandalorians doing their thing, kind of classic Star Wars sort of ending kind of thing where it's a bunch of
multi-level
things happening
fight
at the same time.
Rogue
Right.
One is the best example of that, right? You got the ground fight, the air fight, the space fight, and it works perfectly. Endor is probably the starting point for that, where I thought it worked really well in Return of the Jedi, where you had the ground fight and the space fight, and then you also had like the Vader Luke thing, the sort of
Yes,
three
exactly.
pieces. But I think Rogue One is perfection. Like
Right.
I wish every
They did a
other,
lot of things really good with that movie.
yeah.
Peter, just want to give you a quick shout out. Peter Smith just posted in Facebook that his girlfriend was been in the hospital all week. She was in the ICU 2 days earlier this week.
Right here's her thing.
We have, our prayers are with her.
Yeah.
Love to our extended VC family, and damn, RIP Darksaber.
Yeah.
Our thoughts are with
Absolutely.
you, Peter.
I mean, that was the worst part of this episode for me. It's just the ease at which the dark side
just now it's done.
It's survived thousands of years just to go out
So
to
many
Moff
different
Gideon.
owners. What I thought was really weird
and
was that
next season they come out with the version with like a glorified band-aid on it and call it Dark Saber Reforged.
yeah, get your money, Sonny. But the whole thing where Mark had raised the point that he should take his helmet off at least once in this episode. That was the point where I thought a Din de-helmeting would have worked perfecally, except for it was a part of the fight, right? Because it was against Bo. But something like that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
I mean, they know where the waters are. They can go purify themselves again real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, is this like Sith? Did anybody think that?
Yeah, but
this kind of bugged me with the ship doing what it's doing, like literally feet away from where they are.
I didn't understand how Bowen
the whole
didn't
concept of putting the ship into the place. This is a destroyed world they're trying to settle. That'd have been a really nice apartment complex for all of those Mandalorians.
Oh yeah. It's already technologically, pimped out and
So first and
got
foremost,
a good entrance.
Grogu's pulling his best Kanan Jarrus right now.
Very much. But also a Grogu move.
Rebels. This is a Rebels reference.
Very Kanan.
And also you have
it's also very Violet from The Incredibles.
Yeah.
Bo-Katan holding up her ruby shield.
Yeah, what is that gonna do? Put it away, girl.
Well, who knew the fireball was gonna be this bad? Like this was also get your helmet on. That might be more helpful.
I'm sorry, but that looks like
burned hair.
That looks like a shield you could buy at Ruby's.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I would think there'd be more destruction involved with that big of a thing. Like literally, like that hole should be much bigger.
Yeah.
Yes.
Grogu doesn't need a nap. He just needs to sit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have a
Are we
cookie.
talking about the fact that Gideon just got
he's
incinerated?
evolved a bit.
Yeah. He's learned.
This was silly. I mean, I know that you heard on the comm, he was like, Bo, Casca, get everyone out of there. He didn't really give them a lot of time. No. And what if people couldn't get out of there? He was going to kill a lot of people just to blow up the base and potentially Gideon. I think it's a bad plan.
Right. And they'd already killed all the clones he had.
Yeah.
So
it seemed unnecessary. It was cool though. Look great.
Unnecessary. Why is she re-purifying Ragnar?
He didn't finish.
He was interrupted by the
season started with this and it got interrupted. So this is again, it's poetry. It's stupid.
It rhymes.
Yeah. No, but here the thing is, I kind of wanted Bo-Katan to do Inigo Montoya and say, stab Moff Gideon and say, I want my father back, you son of a bitch. And
you killed my father, prepare to die.
I want Bo to kill Gideon. Like
that's what I wanted too. Instead, Axe kind of qualifies the kill on that one.
Yeah.
Which I don't love. Someone was saying that Bo had a lot of things happen to her, but didn't do a lot this season, and that's kind of true.
Okay, so now he wants to give Grogu swimming lessons.
Mm-hmm. All right, this was weird too. This kind of didn't land for me. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to be your stepdad, aren't you already? Like, or be his real dad." I was like, "Are you adopting him?" I thought you already did. What's happening here? Like, I know it's a language tweak, but like this just didn't have the emotional punch that I think the writers thought it did.
I bet,
Okay.
right? Yeah.
I was waiting for him to
What
go.
I think
"This
would
is the
have
way."
just made people go ape shit. Yes, that's what I was hoping for. This
what?
is the way.
Oh, he said
For
it.
Grogu
Yeah.
to sit. She says he can't speak, and
Yeah.
all he says is, "This is the way."
Yeah.
Ron Burgundy.
Yeah.
Those words.
Grogu's got whiplash. You mean
Yeah.
you're not my dad already?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you were.
This is the way is the new
I wouldn't have
Smurf.
saved you if you weren't.
You know how in the Smurfs you can use the verb Smurf for anything? It really is. Like,
Well, I think if you watched, so there's the live stage that had Carl, Emily, and Giancarlo. They talked about the fact that Emily has literally the catchphrase of new Star Wars.
of all Star Wars now, yeah, it's her. Yeah. By the way, good for her. By the way, I love Emily. And the next time you see her, you tell her that I was very disappointed that she didn't get to punch Katie. And when you see Katie, you tell Katie, I'm very disappointed she didn't get to punch Emily. So,
Well, if you come up to Boston, you'll be able to say that.
I think, yeah. Oh, very nice. I
This
got a
part was
photo
really
from her.
weird too. This whole thing with Grogu looking in the water.
Yeah, he
And
can
all
see
that.
the mythosaur.
You know what this remind me of? This is freaking
She
Rose
died.
Dawson dying, and you go back to the Titanic, and Jack is standing on the staircase.
We've had a couple Titanic references tonight.
You
Yeah.
just
That
see
whole
more
thing
of the
with him
mythosaur's
looking is
face, though.
Just weird.
And it's
It is, it's
Grogu's
weird.
reaching out with the Force to. It's his thing, animals.
Yeah,
So
but it's like just.
Oh my God,
weird.
Bryce, Gideon's dead. If Gideon comes back, I'm gonna slap someone, and it's whoever's in closest distance.
See, no,
That's
I
what
think that
Theory
too.
said.
You
That's
didn't
what Theory
see.
said
You
in a
didn't
video
see a
today.
body.
Shut up.
I
Gideon's
really
dead.
thought she was
You
using
have
the
to
shell
create-
of the Darksaber here. So I was like, oh, is
How
that all
much
this stuff with the
gas was
Darksaber?
escaping for how long before they lit that?
Okay, yeah. By the way, like,
They should all be
This
like passed
fire-
out on the floor.
yeah, this was very cool, though. I will say, I like that. That all of the Mandalorians wore their helmets like in church, we'll call it. And
Yeah.
then, the ones who are helmeted, the ones who are without helmets, they're all together at the lighting of the forge. This is very unity, very
Yeah.
kumbaya. And I love this. Can we all start doing this? This like whatever their thing is. Have we seen that before? The bracer banging? Like
It's like their way to make noise. It's sort of
Yeah.
like
Like, that was
the
cool.
new
Actually,
Wakanda
be a good
forever.
little
We're
symbol thing.
Zion, and we are not afraid.
And
Look,
we're back with
look at his
the.
feet. Look at his weird little feet movement. They
I was
added that.
looking for
That's-
Zeb
even
the
from the-
entire time.
yeah.
So Filoni
So,
talked about the fact
that
that
John?
Sean made him that hat purposely as an
Right.
Easter egg, and then told him he couldn't keep it.
Yep, it's a piece of the prop department's property now.
Yeah.
You guys
It's
check.
like, I run the show. Make another one.
Yeah, I know. We need a second one just in case.
I love the fact that he feels like he's over at Doc Ongar's looking up at all the helmets up there, and he's eating the
Almost
trail.
And he's
Useless
eating the
army.
snacky snacks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look,
Oh.
this is when I talk about defund the police. What are these people doing? They are
Just
no
hanging
help
out.
to anyone right now.
Listen,
Somewhere secluded that they can go.
Misty
chill.
is serving them spot. You got
Yeah.
Paulie.
Oh yeah, Misty's there.
Yep,
Claps
she's
for
the
Misty
contender.
for her performances throughout the whole season.
Yeah,
As
Misty.
always,
And
she
Polly.
And Polly. Yeah, Paul's
Yeah.
the best.
I think one of the funny things is if you watch the Obi-Wan panel, Amy Ratcliffe points out to Deb saying, "So it was nice to see you back in Mandalorian." She's like, "Yeah, John basically threw me in there."
Forced them to be in the scene with them.
Hey Blake, how are you?
See, Grogu's eating those pork
Hey.
rinds you get at Doc Ondar's on the little tiny charcuterie board that they give you.
So if we had Mushi the Rancor clowning Big Ben, I've said this to guys already. Japan needs to be a mythosaur like Godzilla crushing
Yeah.
Tokyo.
Taking Tokyo, without
Yeah.
a doubt. I had
So
the
you just
similar
gave
thought.
that idea to everybody in
Yeah,
in
way
that
to
other-
go,
Oh.
Spencer.
You should start that T Public now. Like,
Do it right now.
because
Right, as soon as
the
show's
time
over.
when you'll sell the shirt is immediately when
Coincidentally,
it's
there
announced.
might have been a Japan graphic that dropped today that
Yeah, we saw it.
Questionable.
or
And then also
Questionable.
the same thing to our boy Chris Bartlett as well. 'cause
Yeah,
he-
hanging
Yeah.
out back there.
Yep, copper droid.
I'll never forget that red carpet when he showed up with the hand. Like
Oh, yeah.
that's a moment right there. Like that was
He's got
so
some
cool.
amazing shots on his Facebook of that. Look at the Zellians and Zellians, whatever, all happy about their work. I don't like that they
Squeezy.
called him IG 12 or 11 again. They should have called him
Yay.
IG 13.
Yeah. Looks good. I really thought that I was hoping the new Marshal would be Timothy
I think some
Oliphant.
people were saying that
Southern
head
Grade.
was IG
Yeah,
88.
The one that was up in the bar.
Yeah,
Was it
the one that they
IG-88?
used for parts.
It's very possible.
Could be.
Or
Yeah.
it was like, how come I
That's
don't get
what-
to steer anymore and
Uh,
talk?
I lost 2
Well-
rides this season. What's up?
So he should be like, in a wife beater and cutoffs and the helmet with a beer bottle next to him.
Yeah,
And
Bottles
remember
of-
that lady Omara from like
Taylor.
episode 3?
right.
Yeah.
Give
By
her
her.
a
Omera.
call.
Yeah.
Her
Omera.
daughter.
Okay, you
Yeah.
got your Looney Tunes. Yep. That's all, folks.
Yeah, that weirded me out. I did not. That whole like iris thing.
Okay, so
just
between
weirded me
that
out.
and no freaking extra, like I actually
Yeah, and then you're like,
paused the
you're
credits.
all-
Like, wait a minute, did something happen? Did I miss something? And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, are they trolling us right now? That's what the first thing I thought. I was like, are they really trolling us? This is actually the season
Yeah.
premiere, this series finale.
No,
Because-
they've confirmed more seasons.
Yeah,
There's
but the
not
thing
everything
is-
needs an end credits. There's nothing to tease right now. They already gave us the Ahsoka trailer. Like,
Yeah.
unless they had a scene of like Sabine Wren showing up on his doorstep, but like give him a
Well-
minute to breathe.
What I thought would have been, and I call this today, which is another thing we get wrong, is I thought they were going to do a live action version of the epilogue of Rebels as the episode.
I mean, so Ashley and I have thoughts.
Mhm.
I'll go first quickly because my thought changed based on Celebration.
Oh.
I now think that finale shot of Rebels is not the start of the Ahsoka show. I actually think it's going to be closer to the season finale of Ahsoka season 1, based on the fact that Ahsoka is largely wearing gray, and I think her final form is more the white. So we're going to go from Ahsoka gray to Ahsoka the white in this series, and that moment where she's like, "We're going to get Ezra," is toward the end. So I don't think we're barely going to see Ezra in the show at all.
Mm.
I agree with you there, and I'm also saying that the Jedi episode chapter 13 was pre-epilogue Rebels, basically that
Agreed.
she had information to go get Sabine and then go on a journey.
Yeah, agreed. And I think the epilogue is much farther into the future than we had realized when it first aired. Like,
Right.
I think it's actually I think it's past where we are with Mando right now.
Yep.
Like,
There's Misty.
Okay, so props over to Taika Waititi for coming back,
Hmm.
Yay.
Yeah.
and then Bo-Katan was Joanna Bennett. JJ was one of the second unit directors, so great job there. Then let's see.
I didn't credit Dawn, but I would imagine she was the Rhodian in the bar.
Rhodian.
Right. Well,
Right.
she's in there, puppeteers, so you see her. in that
Yeah,
one.
she's definitely listed as a puppeteer,
Yeah.
and well
I'm
deserved.
the stunt
They do
performer,
amazing
so I
work.
imagine he was probably in there. The stunt doubles, Gideon, they didn't talk about who stunt double.
Hi.
Kitty cat.
She's like,
You done yet? What are you
So
doing?
yeah, so very, very interesting, different, season we've had here. I mean, some people have said that they hated the season, and I understand why some people didn't like it. I particularly enjoyed the further characterization. I felt that we got enough in the first 2 seasons that we need to go deeper, but that was just me. Overall, I mean, I think the finale for me, the episode before, was the best thing that they've done, period. The Tate dying episode. We keep on saying we're kind of tickled ourselves that the fact that was the episode he wanted to be part of us for, and for his goodbye. But in this episode, I mean, I enjoyed it, but I felt I kept on too many questions and stuff at the end. Yeah,
Yeah.
But overall, I was very happy with the season. Like I enjoyed the season. What was your thoughts, Dave?
I mean, same thing. It had very enjoyable moments. A lot of people, I think you're right, are unhappy with it because they're not looking at some of what the big picture is on this, and some of the things that you think are throwaways that happen in this season. They're bringing the larger universe together. I said this when they announced it at the celebration panel. This whole Filoni movie, the culmination of all these little things, they've had this in their back pocket the entire time.
Oh yeah,
And all
Dave
these
always
little
plans
scenes,
it out.
these little things that are happening, that's all going to that. I mean, I think we know some of this stuff is going to influence Skeleton Crew things. There's more going on here than the casual fan sees, and that's why the casual fan's like, look at all this filler, look at all this. Filoni doesn't do that, or if he does do that, then later down the road he comes back and picks
it always
that
comes back.
You remember when we first brought in Chris Bartlett for the beginning of season 3? He said, for those who did not really like the first episode of the season, you're going to find that this episode means a lot more to the rest of the season than you realize right now. He flat out said that. Jeff, what's your thoughts on the season overall?
Well, the season overall, I enjoyed a lot, but it wasn't quite the same. I don't know. You always have to compare it to the ones prior. But there was a lot of really cool elements, and there was a lot of things that were basically sort of leading into future stuff. So again, with like what Dave said, I was going to mention Dave's movies or movie that he has now, announced. So it's obvious that these things are all going to lead into that, and there's only so much they can give us in terms of the show based on whatever's going to happen in that movie. So, and again, this character could show up anywhere. He could
this did
he
not
could show up in Skeleton Crew. He could show up, however they want to do it.
This did not pack the emotional punch of season 2.
Well,
that's what I think.
Well, that build up and then that payoff was amazing.
Right. Yeah. I know. What was your thoughts?
It leaves a lot more questions.
I have some mixed feelings. Overall, I like the season, and I think the complaints are valid. Though, like, if this 8-episode adventure was called The Book of Bo-Katan, it would be a completely different feeling from the fandom. But because it was The Mandalorian season 3, and the poster that was used to promote The Mandalorian season 3 only showed Din Djarin wielding the Darksaber standing next to Grogu, and instead it became about every other Mandalorian except the 2 of them. I think the complaints are justified that, like, your main character didn't feel like the main character. And I think that's my biggest problem with the season is, like, Din's story didn't go anywhere. Grogu's story certainly went nowhere. Bo-Katan was fantastic. Katie was amazing. Yeah. Emily was awesome. Chris was awesome. Misty was awesome. It's not to say that, like, Pedro and everyone who brought Mando to life wasn't awesome either. It's just, I think the main story shifted away from Mando and Grogu to a larger world, but it's not that no one was asking for that. It's that no one expected that was going to happen at the expense of the core story.
It wasn't centered around
Din
and Grogu as much as it should have been.
Yeah. Like, what is his philosophy? Like, he's still wearing his helmet, and we know that's the in-universe answer because we don't have Pedro. But, like, he's still part of the cult. Like, he didn't really, I guess.
So they kind of just acknowledged each other and were like,
Yeah.
agree to disagree ultimately.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes in the long run. Ultimately, though, I like what they accomplished with the season. I love that Emily and Katie have like started to rebuild Mandalore together. I like the stronger together. I like that all of our favorite characters, other than Paz Vizsla, survived. I like that they relit the Forge. I thought that was emotional when they relit the Forge, and I was like, okay, this is going to happen. Mandalore has a shot. And we don't know what's going to happen to them during the events of 7, 8, and 9. Like that was not shown on screen, and I don't know where this is headed. But Thrawn is coming, and I'm very excited about that. And I think they've set up a lot of good stuff. But I think it also goes back to the biggest problem that we have with the MCU and Star Wars in general is everything is a building block to everything else. You can't just enjoy something in a silo anymore. Nothing stands alone. Everything is a piece of a larger puzzle, both for good and for bad. And I think there are times when it's like, are we doing this just to get to the next thing, as opposed to, is this thing good enough on its own? And I think that's a fair philosophical question that we could discuss about all parts of Star Wars, because it used to be that like a movie was a movie, and now it's a piece of this larger tableau, and it has to all connect.
Right.
Yeah.
Your thoughts, Ashley?
Yeah, and I agree with Mark. Like it was very, very productive for Bo-Katan and her story as a whole. And I think Dave is personally invested in Bo-Katan. And you can tell the characters that he's personally invested in pushing their story forward for better or for worse. And it's always been for better, at least in my opinion. However, I really wish they would do more with Din. Like that's where I feel like it's kind of suffering. Like you can have Grogu be cute, that's cool, but he's just kind of a little bit of a one-note character right now. And I'm really hoping that changes in season 4 when he goes to help Captain Carson Teva and kind of be a bounty hunter again for the New Republic and where that's going to go. But overall, I think, I'm excited about the future. I'm excited to see where it's going to go on a larger scale with the movie that Dave is going to do in the future. And yeah, I give it an 8.5 out of 10 for the season. Between 8.5. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Like obviously there were some parts where I was losing my damn mind. You know which parts. But yeah, I have a lot of hope for the future, and it's not as solid as it should be, but it was still pretty enjoyable, and there were some really cool moments out of it. So
there was some great Easter eggs,
let's talk about this right now. Cameo of the season.
Zeb. Sorry.
Yeah, actually, probably.
Zeb. I agree with you.
Yep.
Yeah, it's hard to top that one. I will say the Purgles were, and I realize it's not quite a cameo, were just, it was such a moment, and it was so early in the season too. I was like, oh, they know where we're going. Zeb followed by the Purgles. Yeah.
Well, we'll get back to the Purgles in a minute, but Dave, what was your cameo this season?
I mean, I would go for, I think the biggest one that had me going was Zeb, and was that Zeb? The entire time I'm sitting, as soon as he came on screen, is that Zeb? Is it listening for the voice and going and waiting for the credits? The Purgles got the most reaction because I immediately knew it. I'm like, I was that guy.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think both of those, and I think it's really fun. I think that Carson Teva is more than a cameo now, and I think we're going to see a lot more
featured player
in season 4, and I think that's going to be really cool. Yeah.
But the same thing with Zeb. Zeb, visually, like Dave said, I was like, oh, and then when I heard the voice, I was like, yeah, and then when I saw the credit, I was like, So, that was the same thing. I was like going through those steps and then had to confirm it. But that one was really cool, and the Purgles were cool to see, just in terms of something you haven't seen. Although we've gotten some bits of hyperspace travel, we've never seen that. Usually they don't turn to the sides. Yeah. Usually it looks straight ahead or straight, behind the ship coming into the whatever. So, that was a cool thing. But really it had to be Zeb. You know, like the actors that showed up were unnecessary, I felt, in most cases. But like Mark said, you know, Lizzo was fun as the
Yeah,
character
she
she
was
played.
so fun.
She's, you know, she's great in general. It's just the if that hadn't been in the show, it wouldn't have been missed, I don't think. Although some of her interaction with
And
Grogu,
Christopher Lloyd was a like a
I hated
the
Christopher Lloyd's
disappointment.
cameo.
Okay,
Jack
so
Black was
I'm gonna
very
say-
much fun, Jack Black, but he was almost like he would have worked better as an animated character.
So I'm going to throw this. Yeah, I'm going to throw this out there. And we've not talked about this as well. Cameo of the episode as well, or the season. Our boy Ahmed Best.
Oh, that was an amazing one. I
Oh,
forgot all about
yeah.
that.
We're
That is
terrible.
definitely
We forgot.
there. Him and Zeb, I think, probably are tied.
Yeah.
I mean, so if you think about this, is that, you know, obviously we call it the return of the king. You know, this was his,
Mhm.
you know,
Well, that's for
resurrection,
Chopper when he
retribution,
comes back in Ahsoka.
the whole, you know, 9 yards were there. But the fact was, is that they had the one episode, you found out, they moved on. They didn't need to jump in and get more deep, which obviously we want to know more once it went up in the new, bless you,
Shit.
the
Thank
new
you.
Starfighter. But we felt like, okay, we
Mm.
now know what we waited 3 seasons for, and we moved on. I mean, I thought that obviously that was absolutely incredible. But do you think, going back to the Purgles, that was a strategic throwaway, that they put it early in the season so you would forget about it, so later on when you see them in Ahsoka, you'd be like, oh, who, if you didn't know what they were, oh, I remember those from season 3 Mandalorian. I mean, do you think that would throw away that was strategic, or do you think they could have saved that or not even done it?
I think it worked
think-
really well with Grogu seeing them because of the fact that he was just like in awe.
And
as,
his
like,
connection to
eyes of a
animals.
child.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too. That specifically, he probably had more of a feeling even before he saw them.
I think that he's going to figure out how to communicate with them. I think if anyone's going to find Ezra, it's going to be Grogu.
Can you imagine?
We're at a point now where it's like another Jedi probably has to find him, and if Ahsoka can't get it done, if all of this stuff really is meant to connect with everything, and Grogu's the one who saw the Purgles and could probably communicate with them because he could communicate with the Rancor. And he obviously tapped into the
Mudhorn.
Yeah, the Mudhorn. He's
Frogs.
done, and Ezra's got a strong connection to wildlife, right? Like,
Yeah,
it makes
that's their
sense they would
bond.
meet. Yeah, I could see that. I would love for Ezra to be found like simply by Sabine, because I feel like that's just meant to be. And not romantically, but like they're best friends. They're soulmates in like the platonic best friend soulmate kind of situation.
Like Luke and Leia trying to track each other down.
Yeah, they find each other. I would actually think Sabine, I would love it too if it comes out that like she's a little bit force sensitive, and like her time while away from everyone, like once the war ends and she can actually like have some introspective meditating. You know how Maz Kanata says everyone's got it, and it just takes like a little bit of skill and like to hone it or how it does. I would love for her to have some type of, maybe even if it's just passive, so she's not really a Jedi, but like she could connect. Like that would be great to help find Ezra as well. Like,
Well, she
also
wields the dark saber like nobody's business, as does Bo-Katan, both of whom.
Yeah.
That kind of leads you to believe there's some force sensitivity there, since it was, of course, created by the first Mandalorian Jedi.
I think we need to take it to the Anzellans.
But everybody's saying Ahmed Best as the best cameo in the chat. Is I've got to clarify, and why I didn't say that. I don't feel that was a cameo. That did not feel like just a
I forgot fully. Yeah, just
didn't feel like a cameo to me. That there's more story there. That's a more fleshed out character, and we just fell in love. And it didn't feel like, let's throw Christopher Lloyd in this role for no apparent reason.
Yeah, definitely not. Ahmed is Star Wars family. There's no way he'd just be in a throwaway scene like that. Like, it's a greater. He's gone from Jedi Temple games to this, so he's part of it. And
could we forget about Tim Meadows? Like, seriously, could we just forget about the fact that he was in there? I mean, I want to.
Probably
my least Mandalorian,
because he was so Tim Meadows. If he wasn't so Tim Meadows,
he was the principal from Mean Girls.
Mean Girls, yeah. He felt like that exact character.
He's funny.
Yeah.
It's just he wasn't like, he didn't work well. I don't think he was just too Tim Meadows. Maybe in a different role, but not in. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, like, you
I
have
forgot
these
about him too.
celebrity. Yeah, exactly. I thought it was a throwaway that you have these great actors. I mean, if I was looking at my cast piece right now, and I was thinking about this, because I had Marty sign it at Bunta, and I was like, am I going to get Carrie Jones to sign it for Shard? And I'm like, well, if I got Marty on it, I definitely need to get Carrie to sign it for Shard. That's not a problem. But I would
Good
not.
night, Peter.
Good night, Peter. Hope your girlfriend's doing better. I would not have Christopher Lloyd, Tim Meadows, Lizzo, or Jack Black sign a cast piece.
Right, because they were.
But
maybe if I had the opportunity,
but I would
but it
have
wouldn't be
Ahmed
a
Best sign a
must.
cast piece.
Yeah, he's part of
Oh,
Star Wars
heck
family
yeah.
anyway. Yeah.
It's sort of like the same thing as I
Well,
always.
I immediately started
I was
looking for a figure. I'm like, somebody needs to make that.
Like I was thinking about the fact, for a long time I was saying, well, if I was able to get Mark Hamill, would I get him on my season 2 cast piece? And I'd keep on going back and forth with that sort of scenario. But going back to the Ahmed thing, it's interesting because you watch the live stage interview with John and Dave from this past celebration, and they said they were thinking about legacy characters for the longest time until Celebration 2019. And when they saw the love that Ahmed got at Celebration 2019, that's when they knew. And they're like, how do we get him in? And like after that, he got the Jedi Temple Challenge, and they're like, and there's our in.
Yep. I gotta tell you, I knew in 2019, and we've talked about this on Frank's show, the autograph hall and all of the people coming for photo ops and autographs shifted in that year from 2017 to 2019. It was a clear shift from OT being the dominant faction to prequels and other spin-off content being the dominant factions. And the 2019 was the 20th anniversary of episode 1 and sort of a celebration of all things prequel. Those kids are now adults. They have the spending money.
Well, that's what I was saying is that, I was a notorious prequel hater for an umpteen amount of years. And what actually changed it for me was Celebration 2019, seeing the love Ahmed got. I'm like, 20 years, get over myself. It's not my Star Wars anymore. I'm going to go and watch it through new eyes and actually enjoy it more because I was like, I gave up all that. Bleh.
Wasn't part of that also your sort of tipping point? Because you had talked about removing yourself from this group as, a key element and doing some other things, retiring from sort of the Star Wars celebration and not going to celebrations as well.
Well, said that was more personal. And honestly, I mean, to go into that, the main reason behind that was the fact that I also had a panic attack at New York Comic Con 2018.
Oh, okay. So that
I didn't know about that. What happened?
Because you fit 100,000+ members of fans inside the Javits Center, and you're going shoulder to shoulder, one side to the other. It takes 45 minutes to walk from one end of the Javits Center.
True. Yeah.
And to me,
San Diego,
I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I had a panic attack on the floor. I'm like, this. I said, if I didn't have all this Star Wars celebration stuff planned for Chicago, I would have canceled off of there. And then I was like, I'm going to do that. But the thing is that what literally brought me back was my time away, how much I missed the group. But that was the main reason, but it had nothing to do with all that. It had nothing to do with Star Wars politics or anything of that nature, because I'm also willing to put out there is that if prequel haters predominantly had an issue with the prequels, but now are knowing that their kids grew up on that and they're bringing their grandkids for the sequel trilogy, then those of you, not us, those of you who did not like movies like Last Jedi, which everybody knows I'm a flag bearer for Rian Johnson, is in 20 years, I think that people are going to see that his influence is going to influence. You could type anything you want, Dave.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to make the change. And I'm going to throw this out there. Who was Brian Johnson's apprentice during The Last Jedi. It
Dave
was
Filoni.
just throwing it out there. But yes, I'm throwing it out there at the 20th anniversary of Last Jedi. I think that people are going to have a different tone just because of the prequels.
I agree.
And I loved, and like I said, I loved Last Jedi since day one. So,
Yeah.
and I'll
Same.
still say, whereas I think that Rise of Skywalker, and I've gone on record as I think it's hot garbage personally, I will still watch it because it's Star Wars.
I like the Death
The right
Star
answer.
battle, but that's it.
There's
elements. There's elements, and as kooky as
They
that
all-
freaking line is, I would absolutely get an autograph and a photo op with Oscar Isaacs wearing a T-shirt somehow Palpatine Returns just as a joke, just because it is memorable, and that's something I would do.
and like I said, security will have you escorted out of the building, sir. In all seriousness,
I've done worse.
look, episode 9 for me, I don't love, which I've gone on the record with, but it is the last appearance of Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia, and so there is this emotionally overwhelming, especially because like her character dies on screen. It is that for me is powerful. Even, and I think it was actually handled with like a lot of dignity and respect. And
They
I like
worked
the
with Billy for
flashback
that.
of
Yeah.
and I like that we did the flashback and Billy got to play her, like that kind of stuff, because episode 9 was supposed to be a Leia movie. Like 7 was all about Han, 8 was all about Luke, 9 was supposed to be all about Leia. We're never going to get that movie, and the novelization tries to give you like her thoughts and like other things that you just couldn't see on screen to help flesh it out. But like, man, that movie really, it had a big challenge ahead of it. Like, we don't have our lead actor for the movie, and how do we close out this chapter? So I get it. I understand why it went off the rails. So it's just, it's also hard to watch too, because it's also like emotionally devastating, because it's like, oh, like we lost Carrie, you know?
Yeah, just seeing her represented on screen.
So I have to say, this is ironic how I was talking about Last Jedi, and I look over to Facebook and actually Jackie's actually in the room. Like, I had no idea she was in the air right now, so that was kind of funny. Hi Jackie, how are you? We have more content than we know what to do with, and we're all excited about it. I mean, there's elements as separation, whether it was obviously Ahsoka was huge. Skeleton Crew, you know, I don't know if they showed you guys. Did you see the trailer for Skeleton Crew?
No.
Okay, well, they showed us the trailer for the original trailer for Skeleton Crew, and clear shot. It's pretty much public knowledge, but our boy Marty Martellus is back. And kudos to him, who is going incognito the entire weekend in Celebration wearing a Vane t-shirt, and almost no one knew.
So the character is back as well? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, Vane is a clear picture in Skeleton.
That's cool.
Interesting.
I was thinking maybe he was playing another character instead.
Yeah.
I'm excited for him.
Which Buta, funny story, is I gave him my stack. I had my Mandalorian season 3 poster, and I had a Skeleton Crew poster underneath it. He lifted it up. He saw people running with it. He was like, oh shit. Covered back up, slid it back over, signed it, slide it back, and says, you can't show anybody until tomorrow. So it's like, but yes.
Wow.
That Acolyte looks absolutely freaking insane. Like I mentioned before, Carrie Ann Moss is Jedi Trinity.
You know, I am really glad you got me that shirt, Mark. Yeah, I'm so excited for her. And
so cool with that. People are losing their minds over Vision season 2, which I'm very excited about. People are obviously, and rightfully so, losing their minds for Tales of the Jedi season 2, which I am ecstatic about, because I love season 1.
We got 3 any idea where they're going to go with that? Is it going to be Plo Koon? Is it going to be?
I would not doubt if Plo Koon was not part of something somewhere.
Oh, knowing Dave, yeah.
That's what I meant.
We got 3 new movies coming out right now. Obviously, people are stoked about Daisy, but I want to throw this out to you guys because I know this. We're still talking about Celebration stuff. So, if you're familiar with the storyline of the book Bloodline and the reason why Leia stepped away from being the head of the New Republic was because it came out that she was the daughter of Vader. They said that the storyline of the new Jedi Order is her Jedi Order is in disarray. No pun intended, disarray. See what I did there? What if the storyline comes out that she is the granddaughter of Palpatine and that's what destroys the Jedi Order?
Mm-hmm. Who would know that?
Who would know that Leia is the daughter of Luke? I mean, daughter of Vader. If they took that, because they love to take elements of the books. Like you look at the whole Ben Solo storyline, and that's Jason Solo. They moved Jason to Jason Syndulla and made Ben Skywalker Ben Solo. So they like to move stuff around here and there. But to me, that would be a very interesting thing if that comes out in the Rey movie.
I think they'll have to address it. I have not even speculated as to what the Rey movie could be yet, because one, I was blown away and surprised, and I didn't really have. I was also at the booth, and so all of a sudden I heard Daisy Ridley movie, and I was like, are people just making shit up now? Like, I really did not. It was that. It was very that, and I was like, I'm busy. Like, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh no, there's really a Daisy Ridley movie. And then I was like, what? And they showed the Ahsoka trailer. Like, I thought the showcase panel, like panel number 1, really delivered. Like, they came out swinging. They were not taking any.
That's all we covered on the first nightly news.
Yeah, seriously, that entire episode. Yeah,
I mean, because it was so much stuff.
Come on, I mean, I was the opening act. It had to go.
You got an amazing prize for that, by the way.
I really did.
With quite a few amazing prizes.
It definitely wasn't fixed.
I'm wearing that to BCO when I go see Jedi next month.
Oh, very cool.
Oh, sweet.
But yes,
Nice.
because it started off so horribly with me on stage, so it had to get better from there. With all of our family members fixed, by the way, which was pretty hilarious. But that trailer and that panel, being in that room was majestic.
Yeah, it sounds like it was electric.
And I mean, even like I said,
so
Ahsoka, when we saw the director's cut trailer, I leaped out when I saw the face of Thrawn. Like, I went banana. And then 3 rows behind the kid who went and got the figure sign, who's a member of our group.
Yay.
But yeah, but seriously, the opening was great. But I have to say, the sleeper favorite for me in that panel was the Neil Scanlan creatures that they had on stage, and then they came to life. It was just like, wow. Like, I almost thought that they were about to do the Mandalorian experience, but all pine wood creatures and set pieces. I thought that's where they were going with it.
That's what I thought too. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Anthony had a whole series talking to Neil, I believe, about the different characters, and they would talk about what was involved in all the different ones, and big ones and little ones, and how they had so many of this or that controlled it. And one thing I thought was interesting was they talked about that big guy from the Maz's castle.
Yep.
And that he was actually part of the chair and him are one.
Wow.
That was interesting.
So
he's like not separate from the chair, is part of it, so they have to get up inside. I guess that gives them plenty of room inside the couchy chair thing to operate it.
Right. So yeah, so overall, I mean, like, going back to it, I feel that Celebration London was honestly, I thought it was a fantastic celebration. Once we've always said, you make Celebration what you want out of it. I know there's a lot of people complaining, and honestly, for the most part, most of the people complaining were first timers. I have to say that. A lot of us old timers were like, yeah, this is nothing.
In my day, you got a celebration and you were lucky to have it.
And you slept in the queue line.
You
have no fancy lottery.
And the first celebration was like being the first celebration was like being a Woodstock. There was mud everywhere. But
there really was.
There literally was
a lot of mud.
But the thing is, the celebration, as we always said, is what you make of it, and it's what you do with it, it's what you do around it, and you have the most fun with it. And I have to say is that for me, Celebration is the virtual Cantina family.
Yeah.
To me, that made Celebration for me. It made worth going over and seeing so many people from around the world.
such
want to be there.
element.
So many Americans, so many people that we've seen over in the US that I never thought I would see in London ever. Was incredible. But thank you all for very much being a part of our group, appreciating what we do to try to keep, the celebration spirit alive when there is no celebration, and then keep it going during celebration. And just celebration basically is, what we talk about is our WrestleMania. And now we're kicking off the rest of the season right now, and we are fired up on all cylinders for everything else, building towards the next celebration, which we have towards there. And we're going to give you our pay-per-view with our family vacation next year, which I want to see you and you. And speaking of you and you, I don't know if anybody watched that panel with Emily when she first saw the Belgian set is a Forge. She went completely Oprah on it, and she's like, and you get new armor, and you get new armor. I'm like, oh my God, you would Oprah. This is fantastic. Thank you all for being a part of our virtual Cantina family. We would not do this without you. We would not be here without you. We would not be 56,000 members strong without each and every one of you. And it's honestly, it's a blessing. And we love every one of you. Every one of you. I want to preface that. Maybe a few of you. Every one of you. Actually.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to give John Chiato a shout out for finally getting that black kyber crystal.
Yes.
Satisfying conclusion.
Because I think he had already cut. We didn't see him cut the thing. And I could have sworn I saw that chiseled in VC. I saw it bust his balls.
You asked him immediately if he printed himself.
Yeah, because he printed stuff for Bunta. But kudos to all my partners, John Chiato, on finally getting that perfect timing, celebration season going on there. But we got so much more content coming your way in the next coming weeks. New shows, new cast members, new programming, a lot of new stuff, and the same old shenanigans as you know us for. So first and foremost, I want to thank our incredible guests for the evening, Mark and Ashley. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us, guys. This is so fun.
I love doing this. This is how I got my start on the network. So anyone tuning in and watching for the first time, you too can be forced on air once a week if you have an idea.
I think
like a dark saber enough.
So I always think that if you guys are not have anything doing on, I don't know, let's say May the 4th, you should join us for after you watch New Hope.
That'll be a really fun one.
I'm down.
Yeah. May the 4th is a Thursday. How lucky is that this year? That it aligns with the watch along.
People are going to dial in from Batu East and West during our broadcast as well, which would be very, very cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Some of us didn't get Star Wars night tickets for the 4th, unfortunately, but I believe there's a handful of us that have reservations for the park that day anyways, so we can be there for part of it. But John, Mike, and myself will be at Star Wars night on May the 2nd, which is the Tuesday prior.
Wow.
So we may miss happy hour, but we'll be enjoying our Star Wars selves on Batu West.
That's really cool.
We're bringing back an oldie but a goodie series and guest next week. Dave, why don't you talk about what series we're bringing back for next week's episode, and then the guest that we're bringing along with that. I think that order is the right way to do it.
So we like you said before, is we keep the Star Wars party going year round. This is not just a celebration only for us. So between times, just to keep the excitement, we're going to do some watch-alongs with Star Wars affiliations, associations, connections in other film properties. Okay. So I'm going to put this out to the panel and see if we can get a guest on before we reveal exactly who it is we're going to be watching a movie with someone who has been very instrumental to Star Wars and The Mandalorian. And we're going to be watching a movie that they were nominated for, and I believe won the Academy Award for, with them for visual effects.
Yeah, it was best visual effects. I can't remember exact category. They also won
Yes.
a BAFTA for a very similar category. So it was a good movie. At least visually.
And ironic that the governor is not here, that dirty pirate.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about. So
not having John here kind of throws it off a little bit. Like Spencer
Dave,
said.
why don't you announce the movie and then announce our special guest?
Okay, so see if you can guess when I say that we are going to be watching Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest.
Oh, fun.
Cool.
With Academy Award winner Hal Hickel.
Oh, of course.
Cool.
See, that's what I was hoping you guys were going to.
Yeah, I didn't even. He talked about that when he was on with you
I
last
know.
time.
Yes,
yeah. See that. Look, it's late. It's 11 o'clock Eastern, and my brain is melted today.
Yeah. So we're very excited. Next week we'll be joined by Hal Hickel talking about Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest.
His stories are amazing. His involvement.
Very excited about it.
Yeah.
Also,
so many great things.
Watching the episode will be some luminaries from ILM. So
that's very cool.
Always cool.
Show up for that. But we're very excited about that. And in the meantime, between as we're getting ready for whatever Ahsoka plans that we have, we're going to be watching some panels from Celebration, as well as continuing our series of watching Star Wars adjacent programming, like we did last time, where we watched Batman '89, we watched Cool Red Summer.
Oh my!
Yes, that might be a clue to something that we might be watching if he's going to be quoting George Takei. So,
not that we haven't watched things with George Takei in them already.
Yes, exactly.
So
Rebels.
With I know we're not announcing anything official yet, but the countdown to Ahsoka, just so everyone's aware, that character is in 70 episodes of the Clone Wars. She's in, by the way, she's in 12 episodes of Rebels.
Almost all
but
of
like,
it, right?
She's in almost every episode of Clone Wars, other than season 6, where she doesn't appear at all, except for one time. And then season 7, she's in a big chunk of it. But like, we could have started the countdown to Ahsoka a year ago, and we'll still have content to go. So we're going to be selective, and I think pick the high water marks, the big moments. Yeah. Obviously, on the Thursday watch-alongs, they're going to have to do multiple episodes of Clone Wars together. It can't just be like a standalone or something. But we're gonna see how early we want to start, because I think there's a lot to do in the month of May, and we don't want to start that early. Like, that's too early. But there's a lot of Ahsoka content, you guys. So I would also say, if you have any recommendations or anything you absolutely want us to watch together as a crew, tell us in the comments or put it in the Facebook group. Maybe as we continue to build the program, people can put in their recommendations.
Yeah.
Let us know what if you want to watch anything weird and interesting. Don't forget, those Forces of Destinies are out there. Those will take 5 minutes.
Those are a lot of fun. You can do those in 10 minutes. So.
Yeah.
Tales of the Jedi.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Run the 3 of them together. You got an episode.
Yep. So a lot of good stuff going on here, and we're gonna close it out with Dave. I'm gonna make you laugh for a second. Admiral, there'll be Purgles here. I throw that out there, but literally, thank you everybody so much. We look forward to having you join us in all of our new programming and all of our new shenanigans. Same shenanigans, just recycled. Going to be going on for now, but thank you very much for joining us tonight. So from the 3 amigos, from Mark and Ashley, for the last time for maybe a year or so, we like to say, this is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Yes.
What he said.
Hi, guys.